Let me tell you something. It was past time for a haircut. What was it, the clown look? Mostly gone. Um, so someone sent me a link. I've been hearing about these rainstorms recently, and there's one in particular where a news helicopter happened to catch it. It wasn't in the air, wasn't flying to catch this on purpose. It was flying to do something else, and looked over and said, "Wow, let's take a picture of that." It looked like a mushroom bomb, a hydrogen bomb, or an atom bomb, except it's actually clouds in that shape dumping rain unbelievably. And I thought about that recently. I was like, the old webbot, man. The old webbot said to look for these so-called lakes dumping from the air. It would be that much water. So I said, let me go ahead and crack open the old archive. In other words, my email. And let's take a look back in July. There's mentioned, of course, the July report about flooding coming, more flooding. The one before that still talked about flooding. And I'm sure you'll recall, was it North Carolina or South Carolina recently? 20-something people, or either 13 or like 23, something like that. People dead from these floods. Incredible amount of water. Kind of came out of nowhere. What the hell's going on? Boom. But this weather coming from, as far as rain coming down, like freaking lakes of water on people's heads, that is now starting to make it into the news. So I'm going to read you the Webbot reports. This is from May of this year and June of this year. These two reports. First, because I found the June one, started reading it, and it said, talked about the lakes falling from the sky, as previous reports have said. So I was like, well, let me go back a little further. Found this one in May, and I'm sure there's some more previous to that one that mentioned this type of stuff too, but this should be enough. This should be sufficient. A new and this is May, okay? May. A new and significant set within the weather banding is pointing toward bizarre effects to be seen in the air as the atmosphere changes. These changes are, for the next few years, going to be providing much more water in the atmosphere. The saturation rate is showing as altering such that more water than we would have thought possible will be hanging about in the upper atmosphere. Note that the data shows it hanging around until triggering conditions will cause the lake to dump from the air. The data is forecasting that several towns or villages and even regions will be scrubbed away as the lakes dump onto the ground below. While the mysterious images high in the sky will be gathering much discussion, the data is indicating that the deadly lakes part of the process is going to be such a severe danger that actions will be taken. The actions are showing us including cloud seeding, as well as artillery shells being shot into the threatening clouds, and even some electromagnetic ray machines. All of this is an attempt to get the danger in the sky to dispense the lake on some other ground, as opposed to people's heads. The atmosphere changes are not only forecast to be visual, but we also have continuing growth in the sets for density pockets where the atmosphere has differing qualities, such that planes fall and aerodynamics don't work. The data sets are pointing towards a combination of upper dense air masses and lower pockets of less dense air that will be obstacles for the planes. Now, this is, I'm certain, a far out distant thing he's talking about in the Webbot report. And I am always trying to pay attention to even the littlest detail of something that seems like, okay, wait a minute, Webbot said to look for this bigger picture, but I just got a glimpse of a smaller piece of that picture that wasn't there before, that all of a sudden is telling me that this bigger picture is coming, because that lines right in directly up with this. So this is kind of one of those cases. We haven't heard about any planes that can't fly, having trouble flying because the air, normally a plane can go right through a rain cloud and climb and get above the clouds and everybody's happy, everything's good. We haven't heard any stories about planes struggling to get through this super, super dense clouds because it's so full of water. We haven't heard anything like that. But this suggests that we're just at the beginning of this type of thing. And we've probably got years. As he said, this is from now till several years out. So that's May. Then we have the July one. Other problem sets appear for the mining industries as the various crosslinks from the Terra entity terminating in subsets including earthquakes and volcanoes. In the case of the volcanoes, these sets are indicated to be intruding into the mining operations. This is showing as affecting both deep tunnel and pit mines. The pit mines are also indicated to be impacted in several locations due to the lakes in the sky from previous WebBot reports, wherein very large and nearly cohesive lakes of water being held up in very high altitudes are suddenly let go. So that is the WebBot report. Here is an article from MSN from 2 days ago. Forget tornadoes, rain bombs are coming for your town. Evidence shows that the sky is coming down on our heads, well, the watery part of it anyway, in larger and larger cascades. In part, it's our own fault, according to them. So first sentence, water is coming down in larger and larger cascades. Okay. The past 2 months have seen some doozies just in the U.S. The Empire State Building was struck by lightning twice on Monday during a storm that brought an inch of rain down in what felt like a single sheet. And I think this was from last Monday. At least 23 people, okay, that's it, West Virginia. It wasn't North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia. At least 23 people died in West Virginia flooding last month. At its peak, on June 23rd, more than 8 inches to 10 inches fell within a half a day. A once every 1,000 years rainstorm. 8 to 10 inches fell within half of one day. A once in 1,000 years rainstorm. This is a prime example, which I have numerous prime examples of the WebBot being right, but this is just another one you can add. The WebBot said, well in advance, we are going to see some serious water falling from the sky, like lakes of freaking water falling down into town and provinces, cities. 23 people died. Remember what it said, the old WebBot, the May one, about people, it dumping on the towns and causing some major problems, flooding, things being washed away, etc. And that's precisely what just happened. Storms in May and early June dropped 5 times as much rain as normal near Houston, seriously challenging the definition of normal. More than a dozen people died. It was the city's 5th major flood in just over a year, which, keep in mind, WebBot said way before this, flooding's the new meme. Flooding, water, and more flooding. And boy, oh boy, did that happen. And then, not too long ago, it said, by the way, we still have flooding, but we're seeing a change, according to the WebBot, a change in the language, in the, values, data values, which I'm not sure which ones he was talking about, but you have flooding in a certain numerical value, let's say, and then you have a new one coming in that really wasn't there before, air, atmosphere, weather up top of us. And he said that was now shifting. So the floods are still there, but we got another big problem, and it's taking up a lot of the value, if you will. And that's this phenomenon. It goes along right hand in hand with this phenomenon. He said he's been talking about this stuff since last year. And Clefai, because his Webot reports come up with it, he sends them out. I read them. I summarize them after he's already interpreted them. And I know for a fact he's been talking about this. I've been following this thing for years. More than a dozen people died. It was the city's fifth major flood in just over a year. Rainfall is trending higher nationally, though paving over much of Texas probably doesn't help. The most dramatic recent image came from Bruce Hafner, a Phoenix TV helicopter pilot who snapped what looks like a 20 megaton hydrogen bomb exploding. This is informally known as a rain bomb. So we have this new thing, informally known as a rain bomb, because it was so massive, nothing else could describe it. Looks like a freaking H-bomb going off, but rain clouds and then the water dumping where the stem of the mushroom would be. Certainly they didn't call it a lake, an above ground lake falling on your head, but looking at this picture, it kind of does look like a lake falling on someone's head. Let me see if I can get a quick little snapshot of this for you. Let's go to scene 2. Whoops. If I can add this, sometimes this thing doesn't take it. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, my son, here's it. Take a look at that. Looks like a freaking hydrogen bomb went off. Buckets on my freaking head. That's what we call that. Rain bomb is an informal name given to what meteorologists know as a wet microburst. They are supposed to happen rarely. Conditions must be just right. A thunderstorm runs into a dry patch of air that sucks some moisture away. The air underneath the storm cloud cools, making it even more dense than the air around it. The cool air begins to drop into even warmer air and then accelerates. When the faucet really flips on, air can blast out of the sky at more than 115 miles per hour. It deflects off the ground and pushes winds outward at or near tornado strength. The Phoenix event above was actually a macro burst with a radar footprint wider than 2.5 miles, said Amber Solons, chief meteorologist at ABC 15 News. The research is showing rain events for us being less frequent but more intense due to climate change. Seems to be our new reality, she said. So, let's see. From 2001 to 2012, once every 5-year storms occurred 40% more often than normal for the U.S., or about every 3 years. In 2015, these 5-year storms happened 80% more frequently than unexpectedly, according to Ken Kunkel, a scientist with NOAA's National Centers for Environmental Information. So starting 2015, what used to happen 40% of the time is now happening 80% of the time. And I'm just going to say, I live here in Florida. Man, have we had some serious storms as of late. Quite a bit of water coming down, but I'm talking the whole shebang. Thunder, lightning, super, super dark clouds, rolls in out of nowhere, People, and I talk to one person at work about this. My buddy Frank always we talk about it sometimes. Man, did you get that storm last night? Yeah, I did, But I also listen to other people at work, and I hear them talking about the same stuff. Wow, did you guys get that right? Oh, yeah, I live over here in Dade City, and I got it, and I live over here. So people are talking about these crazy storms. If this was normal, we all been living, and everybody at my job has been in Florida for forever. We know what the summer's like every time. We know what the spring, winter, fall, we know all of it. We're used to it. And for us to come in and comment, usually it's like, man, did you get that bad thunderstorm last night? Holy crap. Yeah, it woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Whoa. You might get one of those. But we had several of those. Like almost right in a row. There was one point not too long ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, every single day I'd come home and it would start pouring crazy, like crazy pouring. Like almost as if someone flipped the light switch. All right, J-Step 4 is home. Give him an hour. Flip the light switch on and dump this lake on top of his head from the sky, also known as a rain bomb. Scientists can't say where the next rain bomb may land. They still don't know where lightning will strike next. But it's clear from wide-ranging research that human activity has weaponized the atmosphere. Now that's an interesting statement. Using that term, after I just read you the webbot where it talked about we're going to be shooting into the atmosphere to cause these things to blow up, and then rain where and when we want them to, rather than let them build up and then dump on some city. Instead, we want to let that go over to this area over here and then nail it before, for example, you ever see these shows and they're talking about these, the Swiss Alps or some place where you go skiing, snow skiing, and they have these experts that go out there and they measure the snowpack and they've all this stuff. And they say, okay, we need to fire a charge. And they will actually use those, I don't even know what they're called, those little tubes. You see them in, we still use them to this day in war. You drop the little thing, and it shoots out, however far it goes and then explodes over somebody. They use those things to actually shoot at the mountain to cause essentially an avalanche to get rid of that high density snowpack. That way it's safe for skiers. So they're already doing that there. Essentially, what I'm gaining from the webbot is we're going to do something similar, not necessarily one of those things in the sky, but something that can go up in the sky, explode, to let some of that rain out before it gets too crazy. Just like the snowpack getting too crazy, we got to go ahead and nail that thing before it gets too crazy, because then we're going to have a major avalanche. It's going to end up killing people. So let's do a controlled burst over there to start a mini avalanche that's not really going to be too much of a problem for anybody. And of course, no one's going to be down there anyways. But point being, we control it. It's safe. We've dealt with this pressure building up, so to speak. And now people can go skiing and fine. Oh, now we've got to do the same thing because people are dying from flash floods of rain coming across their heads, not from a river overflowing or a lake overflowing, but a river and lake dropping on top of your head from the sky. Well, that's something new we have to deal with. How do we deal with it? We need to let that cloud release a little early. So I'm seeing language right here that matches what the webbot said to look for. And again, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. Way, way much more of this type of stuff will be coming in the coming years. Take care.